cold out. Still didn't turn the heat on. I forgot to bring the plants in last night. I'm bummed. I think everything's okay. It got down to, it looks like 35. Doesn't look like we had a frost, so I think everybody's okay. I meant to bring the plants in. Avocado trees don't like being that cold. Nor do the tropical plants I have out there. All right, it's time. Let's do this. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Today is Thursday, September 19th, 2019. My name's Jeremy, and this right here is my first cup of coffee. Oh, that's good. Yeah, it's 9/19/19. And if you do your dates the European, it's 19/9/19. No. Yeah, 19/9/19. So it's a palindrome. Everybody's all excited about that. Yeah. So what's going on? So yesterday, what did I do yesterday? Yesterday I coordinated with Home Depot getting parts for that being a sliding glass door. We start that work tonight. Zuza, you're fine. Good morning, Jordan. Coffee is definitely needed. Coffee is needed every day. Well, maybe not needed. Coffee is strongly wanted every day. My body does not get into caffeine addiction. Like I'm very fortunate in that way. And I know that because if I get sick, I tend to cut back. Almost to the point of zero. Sometimes zero, and I never get headaches. So I am fortunate in that coffee is just awesome, and I enjoy it. So, yeah. Oh. Yeah, so I spent a while on the phone with Home Depot yesterday. We got that figured out. I'm going for a hike after the show. Taking much of the day off. More than I had planned because of Home Depot. I have to drive there. What else? What else happened? Oh, there's a show. The show came out today. Let's see. It's supposed to be a show today. Let's make sure it's here. What do we got? You got a show for me? Yeah. Okay. So today is the first of the three-part series, The Mindset of the Martial Artist. And today's episode is the mindset of the beginner martial artist. I was driving to Maine a couple weeks ago, brought the GoPro, had a feeling I'd come up with something, and I did. And so what I came up with was this mindset series, the mindset of the beginner, intermediate, and advanced martial artist. They are videos. Of course, you're not going to gain a lot of video. I think the first one I did with my sunglasses on. Is that what I'm seeing? I did. Which I always think is silly, but, driving safety over video. But, and in today's video, talk about what it's like to be a beginner martial artist. Because let's face it, a lot of us haven't been beginners lately. And I've been a beginner multiple times lately. So I think I am, because I have been a beginner recently, and I've been an advanced martial artist for a long time. I think I am not uniquely, but rarely qualified to speak on the subject. And so that's what I did. I talked about it. And you can check that out here on YouTube, or in your podcast app, or at whistlekickmartialartsradio.com. Episode 433. Let's get into the questions. We got some questions. If you want to ask questions, ask away. Drop them below. I'll answer them tomorrow. What do we got? Boom. No, not that. Okay. So this comes in. Yep. All right. As a Taekwondo practitioner, it seems to me that the patterns we do are rather slow paced and bland compared to many other styles. And I know this person. This is Mr. Nish Grout. He's been on the show. He is an ITF Taekwondo practitioner, especially given the number of flashy kicks involved in the art. And he's noting that there isn't a single kick in any of our forms until the third one you learn. Do you agree or disagree, and why? That the patterns are slow paced and bland? They can be. They don't have to be, but if you are doing them, yes, if you're doing them the way that they were set out by the founders of Taekwondo and the way that they are done in the Encyclopedia of Taekwondo, yes. I've always been pretty open that I think the worst thing to happen to Taekwondo was that book series. Because instead of it being a reference and the goals of a foundation, it became a guide of how things had to be done. Which means Taekwondo, as long as it is held to that standard, will never evolve. On the other hand, if you look at Olympic Taekwondo or WT, WTF, whatever you want to call it, even the forms have evolved. They continue to get better. People continue to push the bar. I am not a fan of the ITF Taekwondo forms, despite being a black belt in ITF Taekwondo. I like certain parts of them. I like some of the movements. And I struggle with the names, so I'm not going to name them. I have a hard time remembering the names because I tend to learn them in cramming for testing, which is not the right way to do it, but it's how I've done it because of my schedule. And as much as I love martial arts, and I love all martial arts, there are things about certain martial arts that I like over others. Now, what's interesting about the ITF Taekwondo forms is that they can do really well. In fact, a gentleman that I know well who I hope at some point will be on the show, competes at very high-level competitions using a modified, very slightly modified version of a red belt form from Taekwondo, and he routinely cleans up. He does extremely well. The roots of the form are very good. So when I coach people, if they're ITF Taekwondo practitioners and they're stepping out into general competition, there are a few things I tell them. You have to get rid of sine wave, which for those of you that don't know, it is intentional cycling up and down. The intention is to generate power. So you pull that out and you have to adjust your timing. Some parts have to be fast, some parts have to be slow. And most of the ITF forms, when you do that, are actually kind of cool. I think it's the rhythmic aspect of the form, the constant, metronome of sine wave, and in many of the forms, not all of them, but the fixed timing of just boom, 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 that a lot of people don't like. So what I would encourage you to do, and anyone else who practices ITF Taekwondo, it's okay to know that form the quote-unquote right way and to do it other ways. We've talked about that when we talk about forms on Martial Arts Radio, that doing your form in different ways helps you understand it better and makes you better at it. So even if you're looking at it as a training tool, try doing it without these things. See if it's more fun. I am lucky in that I train at a Taekwondo school that is run by a former karate instructor, so he understands my philosophy and why it is challenging for me to do some of these things the quote-unquote right way. And yeah, I do try to do them. And I've gotten a lot better at them, especially at the lower ranking forms that I've done more. I do incorporate sine wave motion, and I do my best to do it the Taekwondo way. If anybody ever wants me to coach them in forms, I'm happy to do that. It is not something that I'm going to be able to do for free because I'm busy. But as we roll out more and more services, coaching is something that is on the agenda. We'll make a formal announcement when we get there. All right, next two. Why do people have such a hard time with high kicks? That's a great question. So there are a couple things that we can say. First, flexibility is a component, and a lot of people don't have the flexibility they think they do. In fact, if you watch most people do a high front kick, if you watch them from the side, here, let's see if I can do this. If you watch them from the side, they're going to do this. You're going to see this when they do a high front kick. Why? Because they are releasing their posterior chain. They're releasing, there is some tension between their knee and likely their psoas, muscles in the low back. And so by bending that way, it releases that tension and allows them to bring their leg higher. Well, guess what? If you have to do that, you really don't have the flexibility you think you do. You're losing power, you're losing a lot of things, and it just looks silly. I hate the way that looks. So there's a flexibility component. It's also a long ways away, which means you have to generate force through the right direction, the right plane of motion to get that kick higher. Think about it mathematically, okay? So if you've got an angle and it's off by 1 degree, the further away from the starting point you get, the further away you are from where you want it to be. If I'm trying to go directly straight and I'm 1 degree to the left, if I take 1 step, not a big deal. If I walk a mile, much bigger deal. And kicks are like that. You have to be very precise from the takeoff, from the launch position, the chamber, whatever you're calling it. Otherwise, your kick's going to be off when it gets to the target. Not to mention, you've got all the other things around balance and whatnot. High kicks are impressive to us because they are difficult, because they require a tremendous amount of effort. And if anything is off, if your balance is off, if your technique is off, if your flexibility is off, you can see it. We can all see it. And I think that that's why inherently we like them. So if you want to get better at your high kicks, you've got to practice. You've got to practice all the different pieces. You've got to make sure your flexibility is adequate. You have to make sure that you are warmed up. You got to make sure that your mobility is there, and that is not the same as flexibility. You've got to make sure that your starting position is really dialed in, and you got to work on it. And if you're working on it when you're exhausted and you're barely able to do it, you're not reinforcing good movement patterns. It's the type of thing that you probably want to work on outside of class multiple times per week. Maybe we should do, so many people do things on high kicks and they do it around flexibility. This is the type of thing. All right, so I'll be honest. I wish we had like a video production team. I have a ton of these ideas. There are programs like this that if you gave me a day, I could design everything. I could sit down, I could figure out, here's the routine that is going to be beneficial to a lot of people. I could generate this at-home martial arts programming. But then it needs to be filmed and edited and the idea needs to be launched. I don't have time. I could make a day. I could carve a day out and we could develop all of these things. But doing all the rest of it and getting somebody to film and all that, it's not in the cards. I wish we could. I want to. Because it's not just kicking and flexibility. There's a lot around on the training side that we could do. And that's why we do 2-minute martial arts, because that is what we can handle. Shout out to Justin. Actually, shout out to Justin, who will be sleeping on this very couch tomorrow night, because we have a competition, and I'll bottom line is competition is that way. Several hours. He lives that way. His parents live that way. Several hours. He's going to school that way. 30 minutes. So I'm going to pick him up tomorrow night. He's going to crash on the couch. Maybe we'll do an episode of martial artists in the car drinking coffee. I haven't done that in a while. Why does it hurt when you do the full splits for the first time? Okay, sarcastic answer, because most of the time people do a full split the first time, it's an accident. Real answer, because people are pushing too hard. Stretching should never hurt. If your stretches hurt, you're pushing them too far. They should be uncomfortable. Painful stretching means that your body is actually actively trying to prevent you from doing what you're doing, which runs the risk of, best case scenario, you're not really conditioning your body to that new range of motion. Worst case scenario, you're truly injured and have to recover from that injury. We preach flexibility in martial arts. It's something that we are known for as martial artists. But we've actually gotten really bad at teaching it. Most of the people that I see teaching flexibility, most, are gifted and thus think that what they are doing works for people who are not born flexible or just don't have flexibility at that current time. And that's not true. Most of the things that people are doing for flexibility, it is working, but to a certain degree, despite what they're doing. I have not seen everyone's flexibility program. I'm not saying they're all bad. I am saying of the ones I have seen, most of them are bad. Small, incremental progress, like everything else we do in martial arts, like everything else our body responds to. It's not about trying to accomplish all of this at once. My favorite drill for warming up and increasing flexibility, I'm not going to show you because I'm in a robe, but can be done. I mean, this is like a 1 to 2 minute drill. Stand up, hold the wall, put your weight on one leg, swing your leg forward and back. Make sure that your heel is extended, so your toes are up. So if this is my leg, ankle, toes, right? So I'm here, not here. And I'm swinging this leg and I'm maintaining light tension through my entire leg. And I swing up and down and up and down. And make sure the toes are straight up, leg is straight in front. And if I do that 10 times and I aim to bring my foot up just a little bit more each time, just a hair, by the time I've done 10 or 15 of those, I have warmed up those muscles a little bit, because again, we're making small baby steps. You are a dork. Can you stop clawing the couch? She jumps up on the couch and her claws get into the couch and then she gets stuck. And she thinks that this is a blanket and she wants to hide under it because she likes to sleep under blankets because she's a cat. Oh, you're such a dork. You can repeat that with back kicks. You know, again, make sure that the toes are pointed down. You can do it to the side with like a side leg raise. And I like to do it if this is the foot. This is the foot. Heel, toes. I like to do it with toes above the heel and heel above the toes, just slightly. And those raises, that dynamic or ballistic stretching, if you're doing it with very small incremental progress, makes a huge difference. And if I was to build a stretching routine, it would be based around that. Because here I am, I'm 40, I am just as flexible, if not more so, than I was when I started karate at 4 years old. And it is because of that. It is 100% because of that. So, Cool. Great questions today, guys. Three great questions from multiple people. Love it. And now we have 20 minutes, so I'm going to get going. All right, homework. Think about your flexibility. Do you want to be more flexible? If so, pick one thing that'll take a very small amount of time and commit to doing it every day. If you are content with your flexibility, take a moment and understand why your flexibility is the way it is, and make sure that you continue to do whatever it is you're doing that is working. Don't forget, we do this show every weekday morning, 6:30 a.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube. Subscribe, turn on notifications so you get that little buzz when we go live at 6:30. If you want to ask a question, and I hope you do, drop it below. And if you are somebody who listens in audio form, you'll notice I have been less diligent about getting those shows out right away. That is going to continue. I may start dropping them once a week, all 5 episodes. It takes time. Everything takes time. So I'm looking at how I can be more efficient. If you want the real deal, you got to tune in live. Okay. All right. I hope you have a great day. I'm going to go get ready for my hike. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Take care. Peace.